Madness is here, and it's on the 40 acres. We're talking that and a whole lot more next on College Crossfire.
I guess we'll get into it, guys. Always enthusiastic, unbelievable, hard-nosed.
Roll up the sleeves for this one.
This Dallas team is very overrated from the start, like they always are every year.
The talent's there. Kevin Mack, Eric Davis, and Cohen Roach are maybe three of the most talented guys in the team.
That's an ugly shirt.
Always a pleasure having you on, guys.
Time to freak out.
Good evening and welcome in the College Crossfire. I'm your host, Mark Skoll Jr. Glad to have you with us on your Wednesday night. Let's go ahead and meet tonight's panel. To my left, Steve Helweck, last week's champion.
I'm doing pretty well. I'm glad to be back.
Good to have you on. In the middle, Eric Goodman. We've seen him earlier this semester.
That's true.
Second time. Good to have you back.
Yeah, your sports director's got to come on the show every now and then. A little heartbroken over our loss last night. All of us kind of didn't pull our weight as we should have. But
Not a good showing for
I
the
Am Basketball.
TSTV Sports I Am Basketball team. On the end, Sean Mapes.
Yeah.
He's looking for his first win in a long time.
Since my first show, going
Since
through
your
a little
first show?
drought. Maybe I'm a
Wow.
one-hit wonder. Let's find out.
Oh, we're going to find out. All
Yeah,
right, guys.
good tease.
Let's get started. Texas basketball came up with a huge win over West Virginia on Saturday, 87-79. The win almost guarantees a spot in the big dance for the Longhorns, but in its last 3 games, Texas has been without star freshman center Mo Bamba, who has a left toe injury, and junior guard Eric Davis, who is not in the lineup due to his involvement in the Yahoo report of college athletes being paid. With both of these guys out until further notice, who has to step up for the Longhorns in March Madness, and Mo Bamba could possibly be playing tonight as well. Steve?
Mo Bamba is not playing tonight. I'd like to break that first. But when Mo Bamba's out, you're going to need size to replace him. And the player that most resembles Mo Bamba on the roster, I think, is Jericho Sims. Sims brought it last game with his physicality, his defensive presence. He had 5 dunks on that West Virginia defense. He's a hustle player. He was showing it all game. He can protect the rim. He's improving game by game since Bamba's been out. 11 points, then 12 points, has a career-high 17 last game, gets 8 rebounds. First play of this Iowa State game, I was just watching it, dunks on the Iowa State defense. He's becoming assertive. He's growing out of his freshman's shyness and becoming maybe the future of Texas basketball. Texas isn't going to shoot 58% from 3 every game, so they're going to need this inside Bamba-like presence and Jericho Sims.
Big 12 newcomer of the week as well. Had a great game against West Virginia. Eric?
I mean, yeah, Bamba's a big miss. But when it comes to the NCAA tournament, if we're going to accept that Texas is in the field of the NCAA tournament, all signs point to that. It's a guard-driven tournament. Guards win championships in the NCAA. Growing up in Connecticut, I saw, Kemba Walker, Shabazz Napier. UConn in neither of those years was anywhere near a #1 seed. Nobody expected them. It's a guard-driven league. Last year, Joel Berry from UNC, and then the year prior to that, Villanova. You had Mikal Bridges and Archie Diacono, other guys. It's got to be Matt Coleman. It's got to be Kerwin Roach. These are guys that, if they play as they played at certain points of the year, if they can both put those kind of games together, obviously you got to do it, 6 times in a row to win a championship, maybe 7 if they make a play-in game. But those guys will be, they'll take Texas as far as Texas will go. It'll be through Coleman and Roach.
Going double trouble on me. Matt Coleman and Kerwin Roach. All right, Sean?
Yeah, I was only told you could pick one guy, but I'm going to go, I'm not upset, but I'm going to go with Jacob Young. Go a little bit deeper, looking into it past the level. To replace Eric Davis, you need another guard. This team was already pretty light depth-wise. Wasn't a lot of guard depth particularly. Now you lose Eric Davis for, it looks like going to be the rest of the year. I wouldn't bet on Eric Davis playing again. You need Jacob Young. He's played a lot more recently in Davis's absence, and he hasn't scored a lot, but it feels like his baskets were always very impactful. I think having another element off the bench would really help this team moving forward with Jacob Young.
I got to go with Sean here. I think Jacob Young is the key. If Jacob Young's playing well, you know Texas is playing well, and he's been getting a lot of big steals lately. So, Sean, you're getting us started with the point. All right, guys, moving on. Texas women's basketball is coming off a second-place finish in the Big 12 tournament, where the Longhorns lost to Baylor for the 3rd time this season, 77-69. Tough loss for Texas, but how far do you guys see them going in the big dance? Eric?
I got them going pretty much as far as their seed suggests, and that's because Texas women's basketball has not been able to beat a team better than them. They do great against the teams that they're supposed to beat. I think only TCU was one of the only teams that wasn't a top 10 team that they beat. I think maybe Tennessee was like 11 or something, one of the 2 losses. They only lost 1 game in conference other than Baylor, but then you lose to Baylor 3 times in 1 year. You know, you lost to UConn even though it was a close game. I've not seen anything from this Texas women's basketball team that suggests to me they can go against somebody who, you know, the rest of the nation believes is better than them and surprise them. Now, granted, women's basketball also very guard-driven when it comes to the tournament, single elimination. We've got two of the best guards on the campus now that Texas has ever had in McCarty and Brooke McCarty and Errol Atkins. So if Texas is going to beat one of those players, get into a Final Four, which I think would be the next step that they're not expected to be, it'll have to come through those two.
So you're saying Elite Eight then? If
Yeah,
they're
out
two
of the
seed?
Elite Eight, because they're going to come up against, you know, unless some weird stuff happens in the first couple rounds and
somehow a one
someone
seed
up,
loses.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then
Okay.
they'll lose.
I can see that, Sean.
Yeah, I see it pretty similar. I think bare minimum Sweet 16. They made the Sweet 16 each of the last 3 years. Most of this team has never not made the Sweet 16. So I think Sweet 16 is bare minimum. And then from there, it is kind of chalk. Like, as much as the men's tournament is madness and you never know who's going to lose, women's tournament's a little bit easier to predict. I can sit here and say UConn, Baylor, Louisville. That's going to be 3 of the 4 Final Four teams. Like, I'm completely comfortable saying that right now. So I don't think Texas has enough to get into that class. We've already seen it. Most of their losses are against ranked teams ranked higher than they are. So I don't think you should expect a longer run than their seed suggests. I really, you know, Elite Eight. Let's go with that.
Elite Eight. Okay,
Yeah,
we got
sure.
2 Elite Eights. Steve, you gonna say Final Four on us?
I'll draw a comparison what I think Texas women's basketball is like. Wisconsin football. They're a great team.
okay.
They're going to be ranked every single year, but you can't put them up with that elite class because they're still lacking that signature win. Texas women's basketball, they've lost to Tennessee this year. They've lost to UConn. Baylor 3 times. They never in 5 chances could get that signature win over a team. And we haven't seen it. It's not going to happen in the tournament last year. They struggled with Mississippi State and Stanford the year before. And they're going to go probably to the Elite Eight because they're a fantastic team. Just like Wisconsin football, they beat all the teams that they should beat, usually. And last year they lost in the Sweet 16, but this year I think they're going to go one extra step. And as far as their seed favors them to, probably the Elite Eight being a 2 or 3 seed, I think. I think they're still a 2 seed after that close loss to Baylor. So they'll be an Elite Eight team, but they lack the signature win, and they're not going to get to the Final Four because they're just not in that class yet.
John, you got something?
If Texas makes the Elite Eight, does that make them an elite program?
No.
It's elite.
No.
It's elite. It's right there in the name.
I think Final Four is more.
It's like
okay,
Wisconsin
Elite Eight.
football. I mean,
Okay,
they're not
okay.
a Bama or a Clemson.
It's
but-
exactly like Wisconsin football. Bunch of big
Start
offensive
calling
line.
it the Wisconsin.
I
Wisconsin
think
of the
everyone's
South.
agreeing with it, but I liked Eric's point the most of saying, like, they're close, they're just not there yet. They had those close games against UConn, against Baylor. It would have been interesting if they would have got over that hump against Baylor on Monday night. Karen Aston didn't get that technical foul with like 2 minutes left. Maybe we're talking a little bit differently. But Eric's getting the point. All right, guys, surrounded by all of this basketball drama over the weekend was the NFL Combine. Texas sent 6 Longhorns out to Indianapolis to show their stuff in front of NFL coaches and general managers. What former Longhorn do you think helped their draft status the most at the Combine, Sean?
I'm going to go a little off the board. It's someone who didn't compete in any drills, only competed in a specialist drill. Going the MVP of the Texas Bowl, Michael Dixon. Thank you. And here's why. So the Combine, you can get all the numbers from pro days. You can see how fast the guy runs his 40. You can see how many bench press. You can see him run routes. What you aren't guaranteed outside of the Combine is time to sit down face to face with these athletes. And the Seattle Seahawks got a chance to sit down with Michael Dixon. And in this multi-billion-dollar industry with a young, promising punter, probably going to be one of the best punters in the league for a decade, not 20 years, a decade, they challenged him to a staring contest. And the first time he said he made it 14 seconds, but by the third time he figured out a technique. And he figured out the staring contest, and he was proud of his staring contest performance. Michael Dixon.
It's interesting that they're going with a staring contest for a punter. Like, I don't know if that's like one guy you like need to have an intense stare.
Laser focus.
It's interesting. Steve?
I won't say that punters really benefit from combines. That's what they do on the field, I believe, more. But the player from Texas that helped his draft status the most with the combine, it's got to be Malik Jefferson. You see he has the 3rd fastest time with a linebacker out there, 4.52 in his 40. We already knew he's fast, but one problem I thought Malik Jefferson had all year was getting past blockers. He didn't look to be one of the strongest guys compared to beefy offensive lines, but he benches 27 reps on 225 pounds. That's more than Connor Williams. He's showing that he's getting stronger and stronger, and he's getting his way closer to the first round. He's probably a second-round pick now, and I'm sure teams just love what they saw. Just an all-around great combine performance from Malik Jefferson. We already know he can play on the field, had over 100 tackles, 4 sacks last year, and now he's showing that he's both fast, strong, and just has all the great combinations of talents that a linebacker should.
Faster than safety Deshaun Elliott as well, which is surprising. Eric?
It sounds like a couple Longhorns stock is falling based on not outperforming Malik Jefferson. I'm not a huge combine guy. If I was an NFL GM, I would place next to no weight on what these players are doing at the combine. But there is one player that has impressed me at the combine is Chris Warren, just for the fact that he's there. He's a guy who didn't play very much at all last year as running back, and yet he's not a projected. I saw recent projections, 7th round or non-drafted. Somehow he got invited to the combine and got to perform, and with based on no evidence on film in his senior year. So props to Chris Warren. He must have a good agent. Got him a spot there.
25 reps on the bench too for Chris Warren. I mean, for a guy who's didn't get any, barely any playing time this year, who was supposed to have a big year and he didn't, I think this definitely helps him out the most. Eric, you're getting the point. I think it was clearly Chris Warren. I think Michael Dixon showed all he needed to show at the Texas Bowl. And Malik Jefferson, everyone knows how good Malik Jefferson is. All right, guys, awesome stuff. After the break, our panelists will discuss their thoughts on the lack of free agents being signed in Major League Baseball. Stay tuned. Welcome back in the College Crossfire, your home for live sports debate on the 40 acres. Let's take a look at the scoreboard. We got Steve Helwig, he's got a donut. Eric Goodman, he's got 2, and Sean Mapes.
You've been making that mistake a couple times.
Yeah, it's
don't think I did
midterms,
notice.
man. All right, guys, let's get after it. Earlier, we talked about some Texas X's at the NFL Combine, but the Longhorns weren't the only ones in attendance at the Combine. Some great stories at the Combine, from the historic numbers of Penn State running back Saquon Barkley to UCF's one-handed linebacker Chicane Griffin, finishing with the fastest time in the 40 for a linebacker since 2003. But who impressed you most at the Combine, Steve?
Man, all these Penn State guys, Saquon Barkley, Mike Gesicki, and Troy Apke doing really well. I love seeing that. But there's no better combine story than national champion linebacker Chicane Griffin with the UCF Knights. So Chicane Griffin, we already knew he could play. He was the best player on the field at the Chick-fil-A Bowl. He was playing at a faster pace than anyone else, taking down Jarrett Stidham, winning the MVP of that game. He's also been an American Defensive Player of the Year. But you don't see him in mock drafts, and there's an obvious reason that the scouts you don't see any players in the NFL that just have one hand. He's going to defy all of that. First, he sets the record for the fastest linebacker time ever with a 4.38. Then he gets a prosthetic arm and benches 20 reps on the bench press. So we know he can play football. Now we can see that he can participate in these drills. And he's going to continue to defy the odds and just make the league. He's not projected in these mock drafts, and he's just getting a stock up with every single thing he does. And he's a national champion.
National champion for the UCF Knights.
Yes.
Question: do you think you think he'll get drafted though, right?
I think he
now,
should.
After his combine?
Especially with his brother being in the league, that has influence. I could see the Seattle Seahawks maybe trying to take him. Him and his brother are sort of inseparable, and I could see Shaquille and Chicane playing together.
That would be pretty sweet. Eric?
Quick note on Chicane Griffin. He's not just a good player because he has one hand. He's a good player.
Yes.
He's just a flat-out great player on a national championship team.
Not the national title team.
And Steve mentioned the other. I mean, like you said, I definitely am not a big combine guy. I didn't watch it, but Saquon Barkley. As a Giants fan, I'm looking at that number 2 slot, and if he's there, if he falls number 2, I think you look at Saquon Barkley. The guy runs faster than Ezekiel Elliott. He's bigger than Ezekiel Elliott. This guy looks like the most sure thing for the Hall of Fame as any player that I've ever seen coming into the draft. So, I mean, and we knew that going into the Combine, only kind of reaffirmed that with his performance.
We've seen a lot of questions and a lot of debate shows. Should Saquon be the #1 pick now? And he put up historic numbers. He looked really good. Sean?
Yeah, both those guys both put up great numbers. On the field, what they could do athletically. But there's some things that you can't measure. With time or how many reps, and it's how big and tall of a quarterback you are. That's why I'm going with Josh Allen. You can't teach size. You can't teach hand size. He can sling the ball a country mile. I'm going Josh Allen from Wyoming. Absolutely, he made himself the best quarterback in the draft. I think he should go number 1 to the Browns.
How far can he throw a ball on his knees?
I think 80 yards. He can hit the crossbar.
Wow, that's impressive.
Absolutely.
He definitely looked good, but I think Chicane Griffin impressed me the most. So Chicane Griffin, Steve's getting his first points of the night. All right, guys, moving on Saturday. When we weren't watching the Combine, we were watching a thrilling matchup between the Boston Celtics and the Houston Rockets. Houston won 123-120 to extend the Rockets' winning streak to 15 games. That's at 16 right now. As thrilling as this game was, would seeing this in the NBA Finals be better than the 4th installment of the Golden State Warriors versus the Cleveland Cavaliers? Eric?
No, it wouldn't, because LeBron James wouldn't be in the finals, nor would Steph Curry, nor would Kevin Durant. I mean, I'm sorry, but Isaiah Thomas and James Harden are like not
Isaiah
that.
As a
Who
Laker.
he play
Isaiah
for?
Thomas on the Lakers.
Who he play for?
Sorry, Kyrie Irving. Fair enough. Yeah, but hey, just goes to show, I don't think the Celtics have that kind of profile yet, and the Rockets certainly do not. They're on a great winning streak, but they've done nothing in any kind of playoff scenario before this year to merit a big draw in the NBA Finals. I know it's chalk, but give me Golden State and Cleveland. It just works. Some things work.
What if Gordon Hayward announced he would be able to come back for the finals? Would that make it a little bit more interesting?
Sure, but I'm already for the Celtics. Give me the Celtics Cavs Eastern Conference Finals. That's probably a good matchup.
Okay, all right, Sean.
Give me anything except Warriors, Cavs. We already know these teams aren't close to each other. The Cavs, they might be the best team in the East, but they're not as close to beating the Warriors. As we think, why do we think that this is going to be a good matchup? They got blown out last year. These teams are basically the same. The Cavs just reshuffled the deck and lost Kyrie Irving. They got worse. Why do I want to watch this again? Give me anything. Give me the Rockets. Give me the Warriors. Give me the Celtics. Give me anyone. Get out of here with the Cavs. Yeah, give me the Raptors. Print the shirts.
Raptors.
Wizards. Print the shirts. Buy the tickets.
Steve?
NBA has probably been the best league in terms of, with Adam Silver being the commissioner, connecting with the fans, being a huge presence on digital media. But what's their biggest criticism? And that's parity. They say we get the same 2 teams every year. That's Warriors, Cavs. What the league needs is some change, and Celtics, Rockets could provide exactly that. And I think that's a perfect year for that to happen, especially with the East, how the Cavs have been playing. This Cavs team has not been good as a 2015, 16, nor 17 Cavs, and it's time for someone new in the East. I don't know about the West. The Warriors, Rockets should give us a good conference finals if they both make it. And I think either of those teams paired with the Celtics would be great because we've seen 2 incredible Warriors-Celtics games and we've seen 2 incredible Rockets-Celtics games this year. So any matchup that goes along those lines would be fun to watch 7 games of, or even the Raptors. Just anything except Warriors and Cavs together, and this clearly isn't the Cavs' year that they deserve to be in the finals. So a new face would be good to see.
New face would be good. I agree, but I'm going with Sean here. Anybody but the Cavs, man. We've seen LeBron in the finals the last 7 years.
Because he's the greatest player.
He's great.
He's the greatest.
Since I was a
I want to see
freshman
something
in high
different.
school.
I want to see something different.
Raptors, Blazers?
Sean's getting the point. I'll take Raptors, Blazers. I'll
sign
take
me up.
anything, man. All right, guys. The MLB has been in spring training for 3 weeks now, and still there are big-name free agents who are unsigned, including pitcher Jake Arrieta, third baseman Mike Moustakas, and pitcher Alex Cobb. Who do you guys think is to blame for the lack of activity this offseason, the players or the GMs? Sean?
I think it's a two-way street. The players like J.D. Martinez, Eric Hosmer, they aren't the typical headlining free agent class kind of guys, but they thought they were going to get paid like they were just because they're the best available. The owners weren't going to do it, and so or general managers either. So I think they're kind of to blame for having such high expectations. But the owners and GMs are also they're exercising a different strategy of if they don't feel like they're one player away, if they feel like they're not a J.D. Martinez away or an Eric Hosmer or Jake Arrieta away, they're not going to sign them to a monster deal just to sign them. And these deals, they go for 8-10 years. That just ruins your whole cap, or not cap, but your payroll for a decade. So I think it's a little bit of both, a little bit on the players for having kind of high expectations, champagne taste, but also the owners for trying to cut corners any way they can. I get it on both sides. It's just that's the problem.
A lot of these teams are trying to take the Cubs and Astros approach, where they tank for a little while and then they get all these good prospects and then they become
and
one
it's
of
cheap.
Yeah, yep.
I think Eric Hosmer's quote earlier this week said it best, that these GMs, it's like they don't want to win. I mean, there's no reason that guys like Jake Arrieta, Mike Moustakas, these World Series heroes from a few years ago, should be unsigned by March. There's teams with different agendas, of course, but these players just shouldn't be remained unsigned. And these players know that they're going to play eventually next year for some team, so they can hold out as long as they want. It's the GMs that have to incentivize the players, make them want to come to their team, and they clearly aren't doing a good enough job of that if we can still see guys like Arrieta on the market.
Yeah, Arrieta, 2015 Cy Young Award winner, World Series champion. You got a couple guys who are World Series champions. Mike Moustakas is also available on the market. Eric?
There is an actual answer to this question. It's Scott Boras, because Arrieta, Mike Moustakas, Lance Lynn, these are all Scott Boras's guys, and he's just an agent that likes to get like every last penny out of his guys in negotiations, and if that means holding out until well into spring training, that's just how he likes to do business, and that's what it all is a business. So, I mean, if there's any one person to blame, it's Scott Boras.
I think, in my personal opinion, it's if you look at the next year's offseason, you got guys like Bryce Harper, Manny Machado. People are going to want to sign those guys. I know the teams like the Cubs and the Dodgers are going to be wanting to sign Harper or Machado, and they're just saving their money for those guys. But I'm going with Sean here. I think it's a two-way street kind of. At the players, they're wanting big contracts like Arrieta. I mean, I don't know if he's earned all of that money, and I think the GMs are also being a little bit cautious. So I'm going with Sean here. All right, guys, great debate. That's it for now. We've got Rapid Fire up next, and you don't want to miss it. Back to College Crossfire. It's heating up in here for some rapid fire. For those of you watching at home, each question in rapid fire is worth 2 points, so anyone can still take home the victory. Let's take a look at the scoreboard. It's 1, 2, 3 in that order. All right, guys, let's get started. Here we go. UCF Chicane Griffin has defied the odds throughout his collegiate career, playing with one hand as a linebacker, but he isn't the first athlete to succeed with a disability. In fact, for this rapid fire, we are going to put a picture of a famous athlete on the screen, and the first person to identify him will get the point. We have 3 athletes. Here is the first one.
Oscar Pistorius.
Wow. Can we see the picture? Yeah, he already got it. Oscar Pistorius, yes. So Oscar Pistorius, the Blade Runner.
I did
from
not
South
see that,
Africa.
by the way.
What's that guy been up to?
Who's
Jason
in your
Pierre-Paul.
I'll go with Sean on that one. I think Sean got that one.
Shout out to Fireworks.
All right, next one.
Oh, God. Oh,
Pitcher, mostly known for playing with the
Java
Angels.
Chamberlain?
No,
Mostly known for playing with the Angels.
Oh, it's Scott.
I'll give you, all right, Angels, he would switch hands when he'd pitch.
All right, Mark, did you have to look his name?
No,
Oh,
I knew
God.
it. J.A. or his initials.
Hap. J. Hap.
J.A.
It's like Jim Atler? No,
Close.
that's the
Close.
Texas Hammer.
Close.
Yeah.
Close.
John Atler.
It's Jim.
Jim Anderson.
Abbott.
Jim
Abbott.
What?
Jim Abbott.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Texas
Steve,
Hammer.
everyone got a point on that one. So it's 2 to 3 to 4.
Yeah.
No,
3 to
wait.
I said JP
Is it worth
first.
2 in rapid
It's
fire?
one for this one. It's
Oh,
worth
okay.
one. All right, guys. All right, moving on. Cool news over the weekend. Ichiro Suzuki is returning home, not to Japan, but to the Seattle Mariners after signing a 1-year deal. Ichiro spent 12 seasons in Seattle before bouncing around the majors with the Yankees and the Marlins. And as baseball fans, this is great to see a player coming back home. So, what player in any sport do you want to see return to their original team?
Oh boy. Tom Coughlin. Not a
Tom
player. Not a
Coughlin.
player, but
All right, Tom Coughlin
Bring
going
him
back
back.
to the Giants. Although Jacksonville was his original team.
that's,
We started
that's
off
very
coaching.
fair. That's where he lives, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, and
All right,
he's-
I rescind my
he's
answer.
with
Come
it.
back to me.
Okay.
So the Raptors are contenders right now. I think they could use an old veteran presence. Wouldn't you
Chris
want to see Vince
Bosh.
Carter retire
Yeah,
as a Raptor?
that
Vince
would be
Carter
pretty
coming
sweet.
back to Toronto, playing with DeRozan and Lowry. I like that
That
idea.
would be awesome. Vince Carter, I like that.
Oklahoma City Warriors, they're one piece away. Give them Kevin Durant. Put him, Melo, Russ all on the court together. Give me Kevin Durant on the
Kevin
Oklahoma
Durant
City
going
Thunder.
back home.
Yeah, and I'd like to see Kyrie Irving go
I already
back to,
forgot what he looks like in that jersey.
I'd like to see Kyrie Irving go back to the
Oh,
Cleveland Cavaliers.
Dellavedova and the
So
Cavs.
Kyrie, so we got 2 basketball. We got 3 basketball. I'm going to go with Steve here. Vince Carter, getting that veteran presence can get them the championship for the first time. That would be pretty
First
awesome.
finals appearance,
First
at
finals
least.
appearance? That would be awesome.
they'll
All right, so
lose
Steve's
to
getting
the
the point. He
Warriors.
takes the lead. Let's see.
No?
No, he ties Sean. So it's 4 to 3 to 4. So this one's going to decide it
Doors
all. All right.
open.
Final rapid fire of the night. Sticking in Seattle, the citizens of the Emerald City are getting excited in 2020. There is a possibility that an NHL franchise could be coming to Seattle, and in response, 30,000 people responded in one day for deposits on season tickets. Seattle fans are quick to support their teams and teams they don't even have yet. Great sports city, but in your opinion, What is the best sports city in America?
Boulder, Colorado.
Oh boy.
Montana.
Let's see. Give me Houston, because it takes a lot of teams
Oh,
to
Sean,
be.
you were so close to getting the win. You were so close. You almost had it.
You know what? Skip that.
All right.
Houston strong.
Oh. You know, I'm gonna take this boy city. It's Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's got
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it's got great followings for hockey with
That's
the
what I was gonna
Penguins,
say.
with the and I stole it from you. And the Steelers with football. The Pitt Panthers is worth a mention in basketball with Jamie Dixon. They were one of the best draws in college basketball. Pittsburgh
played in front of an
very
empty
quietly,
arena.
not a big city. You know, Boston's gonna be. You know, Boston people are gonna be as angry as Boston people like to be. But to me, not a city I've been to, but just from outside perspective.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
definitely, especially with the terrible towels at Heinz Field.
Yeah.
Steve?
Well, I feel like I can't say Pittsburgh now. I could provide you all the reasons why it's the best sports city that you don't know because you haven't been there and you haven't gotten to the airport and seen the Franco Harris statue. You can't see all the experiences Pittsburgh brings. I'm going to give Green Bay, Wisconsin, because the fans of the city own a sports team. I think that's special. Well, Green Bay / Milwaukee, Wisconsin, because they have the Bucks and Brewers there that have good followings too. But just that the fans get to own a sports team and get to participate in that and the long history there, I'm going to go with that.
You know I'm a Bears fan, right?
Yes, I had to do a quick audible.
So are you sticking with Houston?
Yeah, I'll go Houston because the way the city rallied behind the
All
Astros
right.
after the
I think it's
devastation of
clear.
Hurricane
Eric
Harvey.
Goodman is your winner. Congratulations. We do not have time for FaceTime, or we do? We do not have time for FaceTime. All right, guys. Eric Goodman is your winner. Congratulations. That's it for College Crossfire. Don't miss College Press Box next Monday at 9 for a recap of all sports news on the 40 Acres. Special thanks to everyone in studio. Master Control, and to you for spending your Wednesday night with us. Till next time, I'm Mark Skoll Jr. Good night.